take all your albums and tapes, okay, and burn them. Because you know what? The musicians who made all that great music are real fucking high on drugs. Shit, the Beatles were so high, they let Ringo sing a couple of tunes. Tell me they weren't partying. We all live in a yellow submarine. We all live... You know how fucking high they were when they wrote that song? They had to pry Ringo off the ceiling with a rake to record that, man. Get Ringo, John. He's got a great tune. Pull him down to the mic. John, get Ringo. He's got a great song about we all live in a yellow tambourine or something. I don't know. Fuck, John, get off the seat. Oh, fuck, just bring the mics up here. We'll sing from up in the clouds. They were real high. Great music, they were high. Drugs had a positive effect. Shall I walk you through it again? Gotta have an enemy, though, because we're so miserable. We gotta keep blaming something, right? Let's blame some more stuff.
Submission.
Dominance.
Submission.
Dominance.
Submission.
Dominance.
Submission.
Dominance.
Submission.
Dominance.
Submission. Submission.
Dominance.
Submission.
Dominance.
Submission.
Epic Journeyman. Oh yeah!
I'm here.
Excelente. Well, let me get you started here, man. Jack Lord is getting busy, making sure his gun is loaded. He's got his bullets intact. Here we go. Let me turn this off. So how you doing, brother? You stuck in a hole still? You were telling us before the show.
Made it out of there. I found my way to the internet connection.
No.
But barely.
Nice. Well, it's Trainwreck Radio, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know, something happened at the beginning of the show. I had to restart everything. So here we are. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. Welcome, Clyde Lewis listeners. Welcome, Clyde Lewis. Welcome, Ronnie P. I know you're out there, man. Haterazzi. I can't see you in the chat room. I'm blocked out. So I won't be able to shout you out today as we do normally. So apologize for that. But into the microcosm, Jimmy Jane Strike Zone, YouTube. That's where we are if you want to check us out and see what's going on. So there we go. What are you up to, Epic Journeyman? Because this week is already getting started. It's Tuesday. Last night was a barn burner all the way to the end of the show, man. There was a lot of stuff going on last night, and the revelation of the method aspect of what we do around here. So it was a wild ride. It was a wild ride, was it not? Mr. Rose wild ride.
It always is when Mr. Rose out there.
I know, he's wild. He's a wild man. So and you know, the wild men have not ceased to step into the microcosm tonight. Let me just say, it's a monumental evening. I think we're gonna go where no show has gone before. Seriously, without further ado, let's just get this ball rolling. Andrew Bartzis, are you there?
I am here. Yes, I am. With
Excellent.
the terrible sound and the lightning bolts.
Excellent. Well, let me get everybody squared away here. So, we've been joined by the Galactic Historian himself, Andrew Bartzis. Welcome into the microcosm, Epic Journeyman, Andrew, Epic Journeyman, and there in the shadows is Bruce MacDonald. How you doing, Bruce?
Very good, Jimmy.
Excellent.
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, listen, it's an exciting night because, Andrew, you guys worked diligently to try to make a date, and the date was yesterday, and you guys have come out with a new
book.
A new book,
Yes.
yeah. And so
it's titled The World According to Andrew Bartzis, the Galactic Historian, and it is a collection of concepts that take us at a very high helicopter level view of reality. For all aspects of spirituality, incarnation, reincarnation, what conspiracy is and isn't, what is a belief engine, what is the basics of beliefs, and then some of the more advanced process of incarnating into what I call our DNA skin suit of experience. And the type of experience that we look for determines how we are incorporated into this galactic ascension machine, which is the reality that we live in. Some call it the prison planet, other people call it self-incarnation or incarceration, but it is the thing we all agreed to be a part of, which is the reduction of overall negative karma that's been done here over the last 50 million years.
So in a sense, there's a prison of our own making, which is the bars that are invisible to the naked eye. It appears that we're walking around in a world free to make our own decisions, but in actuality, we are imprisoned in this mind control mechanism that's been installed in us since we're at least my generation. Our parents put us down in front of the TV. Now people are putting their kids down and handing them their iPads or the iPhones and letting them work with that. So we have a whole different idea of what society looks like. We have a whole different idea in this time frame of what religions look like. I mean, with the whole CIA operation and Harry Potter, the moving of Harry Potter into this early formative years, forming of these children, believing in this magic and not really going in the direction that people had gone in before necessarily with the religions that were available. So we see that at this time now, all these years going by, and these groups of kids that have grown up with this material, that we've landed at a place where they were trying to get to so long ago with New Age and, all these people that have stepped up in the past to try to get people prepared for the golden age or for the age of Aquarius, and supposedly we're there now. And we hear everybody talking about the Great Reset. We hear people talking about you're going to own nothing and love it. I mean, we hear all these different things, and I think you're somebody that we can talk to about all of that, and I'm looking forward to getting into the conversation tonight about it.
So when it comes to the Great Reset, the money being given to us by the bucket loads from the government, I call horse hockey bullshit, or whatever other word you want to do. They've been promoting the dinar is going to recycle itself and switch Great Reset since well before 2012. It's a long ongoing thing that never resolves itself. So anything that says they're going to give you free money, I don't put any confidence or faith in it. And I go, show me the money. When it's there, it's there. But until then, what will free money do to anyone? Nothing. It won't get rid of the debt. They're never going to get rid of the debt. The debt is what keeps everybody enslaved. It's a debt enslavement-based system, spiritually and physically.
Well, not only that, but we have to exchange something somehow, and so we've all put our faith into something to make
your
that
vote,
exchange.
Your vote, which is then captured by a magical spell, that is Washington D.C. The whole government is one just giant ritual and spell work. All 50 capitals tie into the federal capital, and all the Masonic orders that built those original structures were a part of a master spell builder race.
Can you expand on that a bit, please? And
that's how they harvest our energy through patriotism, nationalism, and whatever other isms you want to call them. When people put their faith in an external source, government, replacing source with government. Because that's what government's trying to do, is trying to tell you to moderate what you can or can't believe in.
Well, I've been saying something about they capture our imagination, they divert
Yes.
our attention, and they subvert our evolution as a being, or as a human race, because they've got us into the revolution, going round and round, as opposed to the evolution where we go up, because as a human race we've achieved some level of, that we have not achieved now, because we've been, like I say, capture our imagination, divert our attention, subvert our evolution.
But part of the bigger purpose is, why do they do that? They're continuously harvesting our intentional energies from us. And the book goes in depth into this process of what intentional energy harvesting is. Now, there's an entire network, unseen network within the government, literally unseen entities that are the harvesters. Okay? Those are the ghostly forces that people talk about. Ghosts are real. 99% of all ghosts that most people think they experience are their own self-created ones. Then there's the rest of reality that has spell work and deaths behind it. Every war, every patriot that's ever martyred themselves for a cause, the tombs of the unknown soldiers are all sacred geometry infrastructures that challenge consciousness to stay aware of what those things mean to them long term, which then propagates nationalism, socialism, all the other isms that those different monuments propagate, which then allows intentional energy to be harvested at a mass scale. When I tried introducing this concept to Bruce, he's my co-writer on this book, and Bruce, there was an interesting story we had where we're connecting all of the different aspects of the harvesting system.
Yeah, it's really kind of extraordinary when you begin to realize it. And what quickly settles in when you realize the scope of it is how powerful we are, because so much time and energy has been put into capturing our attention. Where we put our attention is where we put our manifestation energy. We're co-creative beings on scale, or on co-creative license with the prime creator of this reality. And we forfeit that, we co-opt that, we sign it over in so many ways. It's really mind-boggling.
And the spell work that has been done is what entangles us lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to empower something that I call the global narrative, the unseen force that tells us what is real and what isn't real.
Well, let me just ask you this. What is real then?
What do you believe in?
Well, that's a whole other...
That's the unfortunate truth that many people in this awakening journey are going to have to realize. If somebody believes something, it's their belief, and we can't judge that. Part of the greater evolution is to take us away from the collective look and remind us we must own our individual look before we can become a collective. And if that person who believes that direction, that's their intentional belief. That is their physics and reality for them. Even though we exist in a reality that can deny it. 1, 2, 3.
Is the word, though, belief or be live, is that not the intention itself? In other words, when you be live or you believe something, is your intention is making it real at that point. So
there's different factors to realness. Example, if one has a fantasy about a woman when you're like a teenager, is that real? To that teenager it is, right? But as we get older and have sexual experiences, and we know the difference between what is a fantasy and what is a reality, and we look back at those things, they're still real experiences.
Mm-hmm, but if we're intention generators, then we're making it real when we believe it. We be live it. We make it real. We make it live. We be live
when
it.
we get out of the chemical energy of awareness and into what I call superluminal awareness, there is where the zealots and martyrs, the high-level ones giving away their power, can reach certain aspects of an enlightenment but still fail at regular life.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've reached a truth, even though they may have trouble accepting it past their own traumas, but that truth is generating the next be-living moment, the I am continuous moment, or what I call the living algorithm. It's constantly empowering potentialities.
Now, would you consider it to be a duality?
Yes, absolutely. It's a duality, but it's also a singularity at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So all is one. The concept of all is one. How does the duality exist in that moment if everything is one?
Well, there's different layers to oneness. different understandings. There's an infinite amount of ways of experiencing oneness. There's not one way of oneness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Are you
understanding there's an infinite amount of ways of oneness. When we're looking at what is one, well, the older one, the younger one, the individuated one, all different parts of ourselves are different aspects of the past, present, and future simultaneous existing being, which our prime creator is that at the same time, which is all of us in technicality.
When I claim I am I not a fractal of the great I am, which is the one?
You can be, if that's your belief.
Well, I'm just saying.
But there's more than the law of one, though. There's more than one prime creator,
Mhm.
and this is something else the book gets into. That
Well,
there are more than one just beings that created the universe. It's not just one.
Let's get into that.
There are many ones.
Let's get into that a little bit, because people have mistaken a lot of times, especially around the Masons, when they hear this, the architect, the great architect. Now, listen, an architect is working with things that are already made. An architect is not creating the universe. So the great architect is not the creator. So you're saying and now does this fall in line with the Hindu belief systems? Because
Totally different.
Okay, so
at the way that I set the cosmology up is there's a universe that has the original central sun to it, that creates its first galaxy that has its central sun to it. So it goes from macro to micro. And then that universe begins populating galaxies, and those galaxies start populating individual stars inside themselves. So that's why there can be billions of galaxies in a single universe. And each galaxy can have its own prime creator, or a collective of prime creators, or the original universal creator who's lowered themselves down into a different version of themselves to begin to fill out light in the rest of its existence, which is to extend spiritual contracts to living beings to come and experience what their universe or galaxy has to offer.
So belief is the doorway, like the currency of the universe, and I am is the manifestation.
The I am is the current manifestation who must be equal to their level of awareness to begin advancing in spiritual journeys.
all right, so go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Epic.
Well, I was going to say when it goes from macrocosm to microcosm and then regenerates this generative force, which is the G in Freemasonry, a lot of people say, as an example. So let's examine that a little bit. So do you think that it's the energy of these stars, which are these manifestations, these I ams, the stars are the consciousnesses that are there, that enter the space where they are equally pushing against each other with their eminence. So their eminence, their radiation, so to speak, their radiance rather, reaches a point where in empty space, they can't go against each other anymore. And in that spot becomes another manifestation, which becomes another star, which becomes another idea and another I am.
So let me simplify it and expand it at the same time. So a being who has realized that they've done everything the universe has to offer experience-wise wants to become an experience creator. And so what they'll do is they'll go out to the edge of void space where there are no galaxies, and they'll lose their I amness, meaning they're no longer incarnating or reincarnating beings. And when we're born, we're not born to one lifetime. We're spread. We're thousands of us, or tens of thousands, if not millions of us, are simultaneously existing around the universe. What they do is they bring all their pieces, parts, shards, avatars, all of them to this null and void space, and been collecting them all until they compress into a single point of light. And they expand, and during that expansion process, they invite other beings that they've lived with to make initial celestial contracts with a star. Now, you can come and become a sun, which is then extending spiritual contracts to a universe or a galaxy, or you can become a planet that's extending spiritual contracts to a sun or collective of suns. And one world may need thinkers, warriors, and mathematicians, and another world may need singers and dancers, and they'll trade a commerce of experiences back and forth between the different clusters of stars that are in various forms of creation.
So is there a pyramidal structure under each one of these main entities that falls underneath?
No, there's no pyramidal structure. It's what's called equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order. And that's what the negative DNA farmers tried to manipulate through technology, or the creation of false light technology, so that they could hack into the universal commerce system.
Now, is there a direct connection between the hexagonal shape on Saturn and the Saturnalian Brotherhood and the geometric forms that are put here on Earth through
Absolutely.
magic?
Absolutely.
would you-
I kind of call it the spiritual tagger art.
Okay.
Like if you've ever been in an inner city and you can see, what the gang signs mean, they tell
Mm-hmm.
you everything of what's going on. And a lot of this geometric art is basically artistic technological taggers.
So we'd come up the other night organically with a concept that we were looking at cymatics. And we also were looking at some of the symbols from Samaria, and we noticed that Epic. How many symbols did you notice that looked somatic, like they were somatic?
Scores of them.
Scores, yeah.
Right.
If you go to India and you look up on the ceilings, you'll see cymatic imprints over all the temples.
So we were putting forward that each one of these has a charge or electrical charge or some sort of energetic along with it, and so that if you could decode what that note was that made that cymatic pattern, or what the energy frequency was that made that pattern, that you could achieve whatever they were achieving with the energy. Could you maybe talk a little bit about that? Because I know you.
So all of those patterns are your access or portal point to a hologram that is access to a database or sets of databases. So wherever there's a cymatic pattern, there is a series of other patterns that lead you how to create that master vibration, resonance, and frequency within inside yourself to access the data hologram. That's how they taught different states of humanity. Like they didn't care about the low-level worker. They considered the manager, the upper manager, the middle manager. All those people needed forms of education that made them a higher form of being than the lower labor people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you have somatic processes spread throughout many, many temples. So there was access to data, and it would be teacher information inside it.
And these are the secrets that were taught lip to ear, that you had to be somebody before you could even knock on the door to be even considered
Correct.
for to be the person that would get the information delivered to them and be the keeper of the flame, so to speak.
Until
Well, it's also how you found an adept, yeah.
Until they discovered that there are certain people that could create tones better than everyone else. And those were highly sought after people, like unique types of musicians, which are called celestial singers. So they have figured out a way where their vocal box can access their crown chakra at the same time, and they can create powerful harmonic frequencies that can take the million-letter celestial alphabet and encode it into sound and light on a surface world, which will then encode on the surface world tens of trillions of bits of data into a single blip on the wall.
Wow. Man.
Yeah. And then if you know how to access that through the cymatic patterns, you have access to that celestial data.
So let's just stop here for 1 second, because what I want to go into is the sacred architecture that went into the cathedrals that were built. They had spires on top. They were typically built on these ley line structures, and the tonal that was going on inside these buildings, for whatever reason, whatever they were chanting, humming, whatever the rhythms were, the sacred geometry and the way things were built, that these vibrationals could open up this stairway to heaven type opportunity or whatever. Could you expand on that, please?
So a lot of that harmonal tonal building processes that you see are leftovers from the Tartarian Empire.
Mm-hmm.
They spread that around a lot, and the Tartarians and the Mudflood, it's a whole different set of subjects, but they're the ones that left that type of building technology for people to take over. Humming, singing, all of that can create an amplification of the belief engines, which is what Roman Catholic churches are, resonating, amplifying of the existing beliefs.
Okay, the face of the earth is a motherboard. The ley lines are the circuits, and these facilitae that we're talking about, the Taj Mahal, the buildings in Russia, this type of thing. Now, were these energy generation units, or were these some sort of
the Taj Mahal was never built as an energy generation unit. Basically, no modern building is an energy generation system. They're an energy resonation system. There's a big difference.
Okay, well, there we go.
They're taking existing vibration and harvesting out of the ether. So like like the ground that I'm sitting on has a vibratory rate to it. There's a way to harvest that low frequency vibration and turn it into high frequency energy on demand.
So we see a lot of hieroglyphics. We see people standing with these staffs that are going to the ground. They come up. They call them the Ankh symbol. Tesla had a design of something similar to the Ankh that was an energy manipulator of some degree. Now, what are these devices? Because I noticed there's a few of them. There's one that looks like the Ankh, and then there's a couple of different ones. Are these now? Because in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, there's a part where he talks about the flood was coming. They went up in a ship. They came back down. They landed, and he cowed. He cowed the brown people with his ability to use the forces of nature. And he had a staff in his hand when he did it, and it was similar to what you hear about Moses. He went up the mountain, he came back down, he had a staff in his hand. What are is there something significant to these staffs and these higher vibrational beings you were talking about earlier that could reach these tonals? Are the tonal vibrations, or were those the things that rose you in society as a powerful magician?
So anyone that had an Ankh, a staff, was considered upper management. Meaning at any time they could change the resonant frequency to amplification or de-amplification. So they could take and give power at will. So it was a control system, really. The Ankhs, the staffs, it was all a management control system. Who had the power, who didn't have the power.
And I noticed there was a lot of circumcision going on too with these tall bearded guys, and they were holding guys down and circumcising them. Was that the signatory that they were slaves?
No. So circumcision is a intentional belief system that they wanted to have damaging trauma long term for that lineage, and anything that incarnated into that lineage that would have that culture imprinted into it. It's a way to create trauma long term on a being.
It's into the microcosm. That's the Galactic Historian, Andrew Bartzis. AndrewBartzis.com is where you can go to find his website. Now, is the book now available on Amazon?
Yeah, you just type in my name, Andrew Bartzis, or Galactic Historian in Amazon, and you'll come up with the book.
Well, let's get into that a little bit now, because a lot of people might not be privy or understand anything about what the Akashic Records are. Is there a way you could maybe just give us like a sort of a brief explanation of what they are and what it is that you exactly, how it is exactly that you read or tap into that? It's an interesting idea, and I'm very curious, but I know a lot of people aren't necessarily too familiar with the Akashic Records. Could you expound on that just a little bit?
So the Akashic Records are a recording of all sentient life experiences simultaneously existing passive of time, meaning time is irrelevant to the recording of the Akashic Records, but time is relevant to the observers of the Akashic Records spreading themselves through different sites of time. What makes me unique is I can read the Akashic Records of tens of thousands, if not millions of worlds simultaneously, and collect and collate data at a very high level. That's what makes what I do uniquely different than any of the other Akashic Record readers out there. Now, how did I discover this? At a very young age, I had an experience that altered my entire perception of how the reality worked. And I had to live two lives, the normal Andrew life growing up as a kid, and the other life where I saw a completely different set of rules and concepts. And I had to grow up with that also and become mature with those capacities to use those precision sight skills and to not force myself into a situation where I'd be using the skills in a negative format for myself, because I realized that everything was creating karma. And there was a certain point where karma becomes dharma, doing a different thing, teaching people how to uniquely perceive or understand something that's keeping them trapped in a moment. And that dharmic energy with the Akashic Records created the Galactic Historian, which is something I came to learn. It's a long-term journey that a soul goes through, and they appear about once every 25 million years between eras of light, when light has finished its journey, and it's the next generations of light's turn. And its purpose, the Galactic Historian's purpose, is to reveal as many potential secrets and possibilities and potentialities that it can during its time.
So, is there a difference between the Akashic Records and the Halls of Amente?
Yes, the Halls of Amente are a magical, the thing that specific magicians have done within the unique teachings of Thoth and a variety of other magical teachers of that time. And the Halls of Amente are a standing frame of time, meaning they're not a past, present, and future simultaneously existing frequency. So you have to know the encoded frequency of how to get into the Halls of Amente to learn from the wizards that are still there outside of time.
Do you know who the dweller on the threshold is?
Does it really matter?
I'm just curious. I'm
everyone
curious
can everyone can make their own determination of who dwells on what threshold.
Mm-hmm. That's
for
the thing.
most.
They don't.
For most situations, it's ourself that dwells on the threshold of perception. Mm-hmm. And it's a matter: are we afraid of a past, present, or future version of ourselves that's looking deeper than we've ever looked before?
That's interesting. That's an interesting way of putting it too, because because everywhere that I see the reference to the dweller on the threshold, it's never named. There's never a name associated with it, and it's interesting that you put it that way, because now that you mention it, I guess you are the dweller of the threshold for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of the other
this is what I call going to your edge of unknowingness.
There's another thing in there too that talked about this place where these flames exist. These flames that are people or souls that exist in this area where these flames are just burning, and they sit there burning for whatever period of time until they actually come and manifest themselves onto the earth into a person. Now, are these is this metaphoric, or is there some sort of an energetic that represents?
No, that's metaphoric for the different ways soul families incarnate together.
Are you RH negative?
No, I'm not.
I am.
I got a quick question too. Just before we wandered off too far from the Akashic Records, I have different interpretations I've seen. And I'm curious if you kind of make that connection to that old wood cutting, the spiritual pilgrim discovering another world from the 17th century, where it's the pilgrim leaving the sphere of Earth basically, and he's going to this other dimension as he crosses. It's like an alchemical. It's considered alchemical, but it's actually not really. Where he's got the spinning wheels and the cymatics and the different planes going across there. Different levels of heaven, basically. Is that kind of what you're referencing? That it's existing outside of the boundaries of our ability to perceive space-time, of course, but that each one of these carries the essence of every other civilization and being that's ever existed.
So it still comes from the celestial format. So a planet is a living being. And before it was a living being, it was similar to us, where it was many living beings and many different worlds. It decided to become a world. And once it became a world, it let go of its general I amness and started being a teacher, communicator, bridge between one concept and another to elevate beings incarnating on its surface to the next level, or to its subsurface, which was an ancestral resolution of past, present, and future, or to an astral world where you may be traveling back and forth between many different planets. And the Akashic Record, a celestial being, is the holder of the Akashic Records of all the experiences on its surface. Now, there's another Akashic Record, which is the Galactic Akashic Record, which is all the experiences of all the suns as simultaneously experienced. And then there's a universal Akashic Record also. And then let's say you're not on any planet, but you're just, in the middle of void space. Void space is still another form of an Akashic Record, which has been then being perceived by the universal consciousness that's holding space for this reality to be a galaxy or a universe, or a series of many galaxies that are interconnected to each other and interwoven through billions and trillions of beings incarnating.
So is there a danger that malevolent forces could try to derail that? It kind of like the Arthur C. Clarke story, Childhood's End, right? Where aliens basically gather the essence of the entire planet or that realm and load it into their celestial AI essentially, and take away the natural spiritual part and refine
That's what's been done here. That's what's been done here. Okay.
Okay, elaborate. So I'm curious. I haven't read your book yet, so while we got you here.
So what's been done here is the dumbing down of humanity of its God source level. That's why we're a harvestable farm of intentionable energy. And what they're doing is they're making sure the genetic population of the surface is stuck in a repetition-based process through governments, banking, media that make spiritual contracts to have continuous servitude within a system that's constantly harvesting people of their intentional energy. It's called prediction-based model harvesting. That's what they do. Because you were just asking if from 11th Force gets access to the Akashic Record. They don't need access to the Akashic Records. They just look at us and perceive us and use multidimensional perception and things such as unentangled observers. Quantum physics talks about what an entangled observer is. There's a whole different level of quantum physics about being an unentangled observer, and it's how you manipulate species over tens of thousands of generations of history by making slight, subtle changes within the process. Changing perceptions generation to generation, constantly manipulating through the victors go the spoils, to the victors go history. The truth is then lost or obscured.
So can the spiritual essence be recovered, you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what the spiritual practices are. And every major religion talks about reclaiming that authority to be spiritual for yourself. That's what I call reclaiming sovereignty. And a big part of the book is about what it takes to reclaim sovereignty. And the other part of the book is explaining how bad it's got, but there's still hope. And the hope is to get away from collective thinking. This was never meant to be a collective awakening. And it's one of the biggest lies the spiritual community propagates over and over again without awareness, that we're all going to do it together. We're all going to watch it on TV. I say bullshit. It's an individual journey into the spiritual truths that you're ready to learn to explore in your own levels of responsibility. Individually. And that's what the ascension and awakening is about, is your individual connection to the surface, this planet, what God's source energy is, before you make any collective associations. Because there is no collective now.
So the signs and symbols that are in these cymatic patterns in Tibet or on the roof of a cathedral in St. Petersburg or in Samaria, they were actually, if I understand what you're saying, I think, and I agree, it's a way of not only raising the level of the people who perceive it and giving them a clue, but it's also a way of finding the adept people that are inhabiting our plane of existence right now, because they will see it and know something about it, and they'll be drawn to it. They'll have a curiosity.
Harvestables, yes. People that have what, for whatever lifetime, they're able to perceive the fabric, and those are the people that they want to incorporate into their infrastructure of control through the degradation of the human personality, or the trauma-based victimology that they do, or the way the corporate lifestyle steals your life force, forcing you to do things against your natural moral code.
But it could also be a way for the good people, the good guys on our side and the planet
Absolutely.
here, right? To say, oh look,
yes.
this one's, he's one we need to bring up, to help, right, on his journey. I mean, a good way, right? So
yes, but unfortunately, the good has not done a very good job at it, and it's been no. Unfortunately, socialism of doing the good job all the time doesn't really work. Okay? And that's something else. We have to understand the prime creator makes mistakes. And I want to, Bruce, I want to bring you in here a second. One of your big revelations from reading my material, getting my material, was the universe, the prime creator can make mistakes.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me say that I had a number of my sacred cows tipped over writing this book. I was born a Roman Catholic. I got into meditating in an Northern Indian fashion around 17, turning 18. I've danced with the Sufis. I've had direct counsel with Taoist masters, esoteric Buddhist masters while I was living in Taiwan. I've been a seeker and a practitioner my whole life. I thought I knew a few things, and I do know a few things, or I wouldn't have been able to assist in the production of this book. But I had some sacred cows turned over, man. So, and one of them is that the prime creator does make mistakes. So when you look at a co-creative experience, it's shared. It's sort of shared liability, right? It's a really interesting concept. So it forced me to think a lot about the nature of subjectivity and objectivity, and ultimately they both go away when you get to a certain state of consciousness. But so the radical objective experience would be, and I'm not picking on any one particular religion, I'm just drawing from my greatest knowledge basis. My birth religion is one of the Abrahamics. It's a radical subject-object religion, right? The subject is literally a subject of a divine kingdom, and the object is God. Not quite like that. It's more of a co-creative experience. But what the Prime Creator does is basically enforce the rules. And another thing that I had to address in the writing of this book is as much negativity has gone on this planet, for the most part, to about 98% or so, in my estimation, the negatives, the controllers, don't violate universal law. So when you think about it, we get into a consent-based contract before we're of an age to form consent, right? Because our parents sign a birth certificate, and all of a sudden we're in this structure. We're assumed to be in this structure, and it's enforced by every experience we have, from daycare, junior kindergarten onwards. So I'll leave it at that. Well, but the Prime Creator does make mistakes. This is a very object conversation about the book. The book is also very subjective as well. It's going to have a different experience, a different effect on everybody who reads it diligently and really meditates upon it. For me, it was lucid dreaming, a lot of healing, confronting some demons I didn't know were there, and loose bowels. I mean, my intestines cleaned themselves out about 3-4 times while working on this book. It was very, very powerful, very phenomenological, and a lot of lucid dreaming. And there was a lot of assistance in writing this book, not only through my communication daily with Andrew and going through his material and asking questions, but also in the dream state in my own meditations. There was just something present with me, not just something. Some things were present with me throughout the writing of this book. So there's my input.
And then, Bruce, you nicknamed me the 3% man. And go ahead.
Yes, let me explain what that means. In spiritual matters, you have to get it 100% right. There's a great passage in the Gospels where Christ uses the recipe of bread as an example. He says, if you get the measure of leaven wrong, bread won't rise, right? So I had taken a lot of various interests in my life to about 90%, and I had all of these columns that were about 3% shy of 100%. And in writing this book, Andrew just came in and added the 3% in each section. And it was really kind of overwhelming for me. And this is where the tipping of the sacred cows came in. And a lot of people, when they get frustrated with their birth culture, they look elsewhere, right? Because we live in a global community now. So, I live in Costa Rica, and it's becoming very much a yoga and namaste culture. And I can assure you, there's as much dogma and misdirection, even in the high Ayurvedic paths and Sant Mat and all the high spiritual paths in India. They've been misdirected as well. And so one of the things that I think we're going into now in what we'll call a consciousness reset is there's going to be a repriming of all of the fundamental teachings on this planet, because they've become very corrupted. And the people who gain consciousness in this planet, if you ever get to know people like this, very often they are people who are amalgamating 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 traditions, or various things they learned in certain traditions that work for them. They carry it forward, but they leave the path. Okay, I like this meditation technique. I don't like being a vegetarian. I don't like wearing an orange robe. I'm going to move on from here, but I'm going to take this forward with me. So it really, the course of breaking through into higher states of consciousness in your own life is about just never stopping seeking. And the longing will bring the answers. The question is more important than the answers. And so, yeah, circling back to the original question, yes, the Prime Creator does make mistakes. The Prime Creator is learning from us as much as we're learning from the Prime Creator.
Right.
And this is the principle of co-creation.
Right, and I mean, you know, even if you're just a basic Bible person, obviously you know about the flood. Okay, well, why did God supposedly flood the earth? Because he made a mistake. Because the humans got
Well,
out of control,
'Cause
right? And then
some of his angels had a little bit of hanky-panky with the ones they weren't supposed to.
we'll see. You know, you know.
And the God's like, hey, you can't do that. You know, now I got to flood everything.
I know. That's crazy. My name's Jimmy. It's into the Microcosm. It's Aftermath.fm. And we're here with Andrew Bartzis, the Galactic Historian, wordsmith Bruce MacDonald, the Epic Journeyman, and myself. And here is a Drink from the Water, Mako Road. It's Aftermath.fm.
Brother, just listen and drink from the water now. Sister, just listen and drink from the water now.
Aftermath.fm. We're here every night, Monday through Friday, 10:30 Pacific, immediately following Clyde Lewis and the Ground Zero team. And tonight we got a very special guest. I'm honored to even be in the conversation with you guys. You know, it's what we're talking about tonight with Andrew Bartzis is just about everything that we want to ask him. He's the man who he's got answers, and because he can tap into these records that exist. So past, present, and future is all happening in this single moment, Andrew. And the timeline, is there a timeline? Is there anything linear about time, or is it all happening right now in this moment? And if it is, do you have the ability to look at potential? Is there potential futures, or is there static?
I see billions of potential futures, but I say this caveat. I didn't come here to know everything. If I did, there would no point in being here. So I'm just as much a part of it as everyone else, as we are reaching what I call the apex of the potential of the unlimited point of view. And when people start achieving the unlimited point of view, they are no longer limited by their consciousness and the paralyzing effects of hypnosis and conformity that society constantly is telling us to be in. And we're able to break away from it, break away from the duality to experience the singularity, or be a part of the duality and the singularity at the same time, which is what we call a triality. We're living in the duality every day, but there's a simultaneous version of us in the singularity going about doing the seen and unseen things works. And that's the triumvirate of the many selves that are constantly existing, sleeping and awake.
So there's a document called the Gateway document, the Gateway process. And in that document, it says, it tries to talk about how things are, and it says that there's something called the absolute, which runs through everything. And the absolute creates consciousness, and the consciousness creates mind. Do you have anything to say about that? Because I mean, this Gateway document.
I don't agree with that metaphor. That metaphor has a lot of pre-programmed negativity in it.
Yeah. Well, as far as it being metaphor, it's not metaphor. It's an actual document and a process that was investigated by the CIA with the United States Psychotronics Association. Okay. So it's a whole thing, and it's interesting. A lot of people
sounds like a bunch of scientists are trying to figure out spirituality without taking consciousness into spirituality's format.
Yeah, I know it goes against a lot of ideas what people have about it, but it also taps into this idea what you're talking about the singularity, about that being the absolute that runs through.
There are no absolutes.
So there's no absolutes.
There's no absolutes. And I'm absolute about that.
Absolutely positive about that.
There are no absolutes. It's an unlimited universe. And the whole point of our existence is to achieve our free will. We are living a 100% free will universe and a 100% free will galaxy on a 100% free willed planet.
Yeah. And that's a big thing when you when you finally get your head around this is another thing working on the book really hammered into me is free will is something you should be conscious of, and consent can be given in a dream. It's not just about putting your John Hancock down on a document, right? It's not just about a non-disclosure agreement or your IRS tax return or anything like that. Consent really at the level of consciousness follows inclination and the direction and the impetus of consciousness. And that's why self-mastery and self-control is so important, which is something most paths try to teach, because if there's one thing the Galactic Historian, The World According to Andrew Bartzis, the book gets across is, you will finish this book terrified of the power that the Creator has given you on this planet, in this universe, with free will. Not terrified of it, but just like, oh my God, I never really stopped to think about what free will really is. And when you come to a greater understanding of what the concept is, you'll very easily see the manner in which they control us.
Clear as day.
This is exactly what we do most of our work on, is that this whole thing has been taken over and hijacked away from giving anybody the idea of having any kind of freedom. So in other words, you can't imagine how free you can be because your imagination has been captured and your attention's been diverted and your evolution has been subverted.
Until you make a magical practice to reclaim your authority to be you and start clawing back all of those journeys as part of your daily practice. Which is the other side of spirituality that the big major religions do not teach, the sovereign individuation process of reclaiming your authority to be you, to not have a priest class to do prayers for you, that it is your own journey to connect to source in your own way. One of the biggest things that humanity, souls have come to learn from Earth is the great journey of source disconnection and the great journey back to source connection, and the infinite amount of ways we can learn source disconnection through our emotions and traumas, or source connection through our emotions and traumas. That's the big master lesson that's going to teach the powerful creator spirits of this world post-ascension times how forgiveness can be used for what's been done to us in the past, so that we have the potentiality of being unlimited beings who aren't limited by what has happened to us in the past.
And that goes well for a psychological aspect of human beings too, because that does the same thing to people in their lives and just a day-to-day being successful in your life. That these things that have happened to you in the past, quote unquote, they still continue to happen to you, because in your own mind, what you do is, or people do, is they run that over and over again, and they beat themselves with that. That's the rod for their back, the penance that they have to pay for the shitty person that they are for whatever reason that they've made up in their head. When you're getting into your book now, is there some aspect of being able to help? Is there some helping of people to get to a place where they're ready to
Absolutely. The book really reflects on self-healing, self-nurturing, and self-mastery. It'll give you some powerful subject matters to contemplate about your potentials and choices in the unlimited universe and the hologram that we live in, how to disconnect from aggressive material, and how to reconnect to more of a natural frequency. But it's also understanding effort, enthusiastic effort. So many people want to do spiritual practices, but they don't have the enthusiastic effort to make it a self-generating system or over unity type system where you're constantly getting more paying you back. Spirituality is one of those things. It's not instant gratification. Healing is a process, not an event. But so many people want to snap their fingers and be instantly healed of whatever traumatizes them in the moment. But that's actually a temper tantrum. So people have to get out of these very young cycles of childhoods that are running their adult selves. And a lot of times I call them the internal demons that we self-create, the ones that self-flagellate, self-deprecate. And we're constantly doing that to ourselves, wasting energy and creating this myth we can never overcome because we constantly self-flagellate. So how do we get out of conspiracy world? How do we get out of self-flagellation? Understanding what enthusiastic effort and self-mastery means, what self-nurturing and self-healing mean.
Well, I bring this up on the show often, and that is that people whose lives are going good, they're not on the internet scouring the earth for shit that's wrong with everything.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They're out living lives. And so it's the same thing. A lot of times when people's lives are going good and they're driving down the street and they see a sign hanging that says fortunes told, typically those people aren't pulling in there. Typically, people that want to know the future, want to know something about what's going to happen in the future, are people that are in turmoil in the present. And they want to have something to hold on to that they think is in the future is going to happen that may be good for them, or that's they're searching for this, for some sort of reinforcement, because you pray, so, do you hear anything? I'm just saying, do you hear a voice in your head when you pray, ladies and gentlemen? I know prayer works because I had thousands of people praying for me through the VA prayer network when I had cancer. And I felt people praying for me.
And there's a specific part of the book that talks about the co-creative power of prayer and how important spiritual practices and prayer are. It must be interwoven with each other. Part of that is that sovereign journey is using prayer to tell the universe you're alive and asking for help and allowing that universal energy into yourself as a part of your daily journey, your daily practice. That becomes monthly practice, that becomes your yearly practice, that allows you to have access to hindsight by looking at what I did do. Holy shit, I did do all this stuff. These are my victories. Now, what new victories do I want? Foresight. And the whole journey of mastering spirituality is being able to enter a hindsight or foresight moment for whatever juncture we're at.
So drawing on the experience of the past to propel you in the present.
Or into a future, which is still somebody who must walk the line, hold the responsibility, follow through with what it requires to be a stable being, so long-term strategies and goals are succeeded at. Which is a lot of people fail at that right now. They can't make long-term goals and strategies.
So the 1% of the people that are successful are the ones that are actually creating their future by writing a plan down on a piece of paper and looking at that plan and making steps towards that plan one day at a time. It doesn't matter, even if it's a quarter inch today. You
exactly.
Those people, because they are being meticulous about the reality that they're creating in the future, they will be successful. They will almost...
And so unless they reach the classic mental masturbator state where they never do anything. Mm-hmm. I call those pontificating philosophers. And our little genre that we're in is full of pontificating philosophers that talk, but never do.
Well, the thing is like what happens to people is like, say some guys say, oh, you got a good idea for a business. And he goes, oh, he sits in his house and he dreams about owning a business someday and this and that and the other thing. And he tells everybody about it all the time and how he's going to be successful. He doesn't do shit all day. Then he finally figures out he's got to do something. And when he finds out, he has to go. And he has to research every other business that's just like his around him. He has to do all this paperwork. He has to go down to the city. That's when the dream evaporates for most people.
Right, because it's not instant gratification, mental masturbation. I can create Lego business in the moment.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you have to actually do something, and you have to actually take responsibility for getting your ass up and making things happen for yourself.
That's right. So and the same thing comes to spirituality. And I have a very harsh statement. If you're not writing down your journey, you're not chronicling your adventures into spirituality, you're faking it.
Well, I spent some time around the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and so one of the things in there is you make a detailed inventory, and the reason you do it is because you want to see where you are or where you've been. You want to see where you are, and then once you got an inventory, you know what you're working with. You know what things you got that are not working for you. You can get rid of those, and you can take things that do work for you and then create a future that makes sense, like we're saying. creating a future, being a sovereign person, being responsible for yourself in the real world, where if I go out in the backyard, I step on a rake, it's going to smack me in the face. Okay? If I call you a cocksucker on the internet, nothing's going to happen. Okay? So there's a big difference between the internet and reality. And the thing is in a postmodernist, deconstructionist society, we're living in what's called hyper reality, where people would rather live in the internet than they would in the real world, where they have
different different layers of truth, which is what we talked about at the beginning of the show. There are different layers of empowerment to truth. There are some people that the internet is their entire life, and they are empowering that to be their entire life, and then other people that are off the grid and live in the middle of nowhere, completely the opposite spectrum. And then everyone allows their different layers of belief to empower their belief engine. Some people are running a 5-liter belief engine. Some people are wanting a 1-cylinder belief engine. Okay? It's based off of what they're ready to experience.
Hijacked, right?
That's what's been hijacked, yes.
Well, no, exactly.
Your ability to access the global engine speed, meaning you could operate at a global high-frequency pace and make massive changes in your own bubble of reality.
Right, you're not driving your car, your engine, your vehicle. That's a better term. You're not driving your vehicle. Somebody else is using your power from your vehicle to pull their load, right? To pull their project. To pull their
Exactly. And they're taking, 97% of your energy, if not more.
And then, so then you're manifesting your reality by the intention of your goal. And so that's why the 99%ers, even if they're not into magic, they are actually doing magic.
Which is what science is having a big trouble at creating its next way of accepting that spirituality did have something right. Its consciousness is a part of it. And now science has to figure out how to measure consciousness to make it a part of the many variables of the equations that they're using to help understand the nature of reality. Why is there's a Higgs boson particle or a particle bridge or wormhole bridge between realities? Consciousness creates that.
Well, and if it doesn't render until we see it or we look at it, we render it by our intention. So the intention is the rendering, and then the manifestation is the culmination of everything that's done behind the intention.
It can be, but the rendering can also be done pre-birth. So there's a fine line between what is true free will. So before you were born, there's a blueprint of all your potentialities. This is called the fetus in the womb state, which is a significant part of the book. Is where we go into this potential planning phase, where we have access to universal synchronicities blueprint to align ourselves to have perfect moments or unique aspects that help train us to higher levels of information. And Bruce, I think you got something to say about that too.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that?
On the universal synchronicities and the fetus and the blueprint thing. That was a big thing you learned about in the writing of the material.
Yeah, the fetus blueprint. That's interesting. So there's different potentialities, and you live into which one of those by what happens, or is it just a random,
No, it's what you choose through your free will.
Yeah. So there's choice points in your lifeline. This is the influence of free will, right? So you have potential outcomes in a life. There's certain energetic experiences you're going to have, like it's pre-written into your life. It could be something as demonstrative as a car accident, literally pre-written into your life that it's going to happen when you're 54 years old. Okay, now you get around it if you become aware of it through consciousness development young enough and stuff like that. But the decisions we make then affect the outcome of our life at every stage of our life. What are we going to accept? What are we reacting to? And what are we acting upon? And this is another big thing that came up for me on the book, in working on this book is, the difference between being in the reactive or the active state. The active state is where you're creating your life. You're consciously co-creating your life. It's unfolding. I don't like working in high tech and living in condos anymore in Toronto. I'm going to go build an earthbag house in the rainforest. That's an active state. And I went and I did that and I followed through on it. And it became a journey that taught me a whole bunch of other lessons. I could have easily just sat on my ass and hit the bong and just spent the rest of my life thinking about it and talking about it. But, and one of the big things that's going on in the world now, we don't really get into this in the book too much. The book stays at a much higher level. But, a human existence now, especially in the first world, has become like a restaurant menu. And it never occurs to you, I don't like any of the shit on this menu. I'm going to go make my own food. And when you look at the evolution of the service, right from early childhood care for, two people in a marriage working and putting a child into daycare from 1-year-old to putting seniors into care facilities, it's all a series of options that are like a menu for this individual experience that never really becomes an individual experience. It's like the first world has become the whole thing to me now, as I look back on it after living in the rainforest for 7 years now. It's almost like an artificial experience to me. It's almost like a virtual reality. I don't speak about this often, Jimmy, because most of my friends, and I talk on the radio a lot, most of my friends are still back in the machine. I don't want to hurt people's feelings or anything, but it is literally a virtual reality now. And so the choice points we make, or the decision points we have in our life that we act upon are really what define how we're going to fulfill the multiple potentials in the fetus in the womb blueprint.
Well, what's interesting, man, is I had lymphoma, and I'm not bringing it up for any reason other than just about this part of it, because when I was younger, and I was like, I don't know, 27, 28 years old, I was using antiperspirant. Okay, I didn't know it had aluminum in it, and it clogged up your sweat glands, and so I got this thing under my arm. It was this giant sweat gland infection. And I went to the doctor, and I was really scared to go to the doctor, and eventually I went, and when I went, the first thing I asked him if I had lymphoma. Or I said, I have lymphoma, huh? Like that. And it's interesting because later on in life I actually did have lymphoma, and maybe at that moment my soul recognized something that was happening and thought I was in a moment that was gonna happen but had not yet happened. So
if allopathic medicine had allowed consciousness to be a part of the medical diagnosis, they would have found that into you at that young age, and they could have done preventative medicine for it. But allopathic isn't programmed to allow it to do that.
No, it's not. It's Into the Microcosmos, Aftermath.fm, Andrew Bartzis, AndrewBartzis.com, Bartzis. You can find him over there. Also, you guys were saying the book Galactic Historian is available on Amazon?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that's where you can go check out the book, ladies and gentlemen. And we haven't really got too much into the book. I mean, we're talking about it, somewhat. But, I mean, you're really going to have to take a look at, at the book itself to really get a full grip on, beyond what we're just talking about here tonight. Because obviously the Galactic Historian can talk about just about anything going on in multiple galaxies. So, I mean, the world is our oyster tonight. Would you be interested in we typically open up the phones at midnight, so.
Oh, I love taking calls. I do it all the time on my show too.
Excellent. Yeah, so we'll open up them phones at midnight, and you can give us a call, talk to the Galactic Historian yourself, and get into this conversation tonight. And it's a rare one, and if you're a part of it tonight, you're part of something special, because it doesn't happen every day. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. Bruce MacDonald, wordsmith. Bruce, tell them where they can find your other work, because you've also been a co-writer on a couple other pieces of material too that are great. And we had Stardust Ranch on, and so why don't you let everybody know where they can find your material as well?
Yeah, it's all up on Amazon. I sell exclusively on Amazon. I mean, for me, it's for most writers now operating outside the normal publishing industry, it's a pretty good deal. So it's MacDonald, Bruce MacDonald. You can go to my author's page. You can't miss it. You're going to see an Earthbag House picture there on the author's page. And I've got a number of books, and I started writing what I call co-writes exclusively in 2019, beginning with Stardust Ranch. There was another book after that called The Light of Darkness, and then The Galactic Historian. And in each one, the circle of consciousness that the book circumscribes just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. They almost work sequentially. So Stardust Ranch does a really good job of explaining what portals are This is what you're seeing on Skinwalker Ranch if you're watching that on the History Channel. And Light of Darkness really gets into the fourth dimensions and a lot of the machinations that are used to distract and confuse us. Because really, and Jimmy, I know you know this, and Epic knows this, really the ruling force in the world, or really the main tool of the controllers, is occult. It's magic. It's black magic. You know, people think it's nuclear bombs and it's all, no, it's you can't control, however many billions of people are on this planet with the threat of war and physical war. Really, what's doing it is these control infrastructures we're in, and these willful forfeitures of living the free will experience is what I'll call it. I also want to say, look, the Galactic Historian, The World According to Andrew Bartzis, is not a book you read. It's a book you experience. It should be written slowly and should be read slowly and contemplatively, and you should be reflecting on it. It's a very, very intense material. When we were done, I was surfing the internet and I looked up the word sutra, and I read the Wikipedia page on sutra, and I sent Andrew a text. I said, Andrew, I think we wrote a sutra, and we both went through like the 800-word definition on Wikipedia, and it really is a sutra in the colloquial, but from the Western perspective. And the sutra is an instructional manual, usually written in Hindu or Punjabi sometimes, or Chinese. The Chinese Buddhists do a lot of sutras, but it really is a sutra. But it doesn't take place in a remote place. It doesn't take place in 4th century India. It's a sutra written for people in the 21st century, and mainly from the Western experience. And it's extremely rich, extremely provocative, and extremely stimulating. I highly recommend you get this book, and it'll congeal with whatever path you're on. If you're Islamic or Jewish or Buddhist or Catholic or Eastern Orthodox or Taoist, it doesn't matter. You're gonna get something out of this book. Andrew is a rare gem of a human being. He's part of a class of human being that comes to this planet to teach people. And very often when it's not done in the dogmatic way people are used to in traditional teachings, because once the teacher leaves the planet, the dogmatists put on robes and take over the teachings, right? This is what happens in every path. Now, the East is a little bit different because their lineage paths generally, for the most part, populate people who are of the consciousness of the inceptor. Although, you couldn't say that any Ayurveda master alive today is of equal consciousness to Shiva. And they claim he physically existed and gave the teachings 14,000 years ago. But wherever you're coming from, if you've been a seeker or a practitioner of any spiritual path, this book is going to rock your world, and you should read it. You absolutely should read it.
You absolutely should. And in the meantime, while you're waiting for that delivery, I mean, you can almost get anything you want the same day on Amazon now. But while you're waiting for that delivery, you don't have to wait, because Andrew's right here, right now. He might not be Mr. Right, but he's definitely Mr. Right now. And so is there something in particular in on your mind that you'd like to share as a message, that like a statement or a message that you have to give to people, for the world, kind of, so to speak? Something.
All right, so first thing first, we live in the most confusing of times, where information has been weaponized at its source. Information itself has this weaponization process to distract you from what's right for you. Curiosity learning, for those people that don't understand the difference between normal learning and curiosity learning, when you're going from shiny subject to shiny subject years in a row, you can't really fully explore and immerse yourself into learning what greater concepts can be, because you're lowering your attention span. So for all those people that are out there, just by turning off the information, no matter what it is, a few extra hours a week, you're beginning your individual journey into who am I, what am I, and how do I learn to know thyself. And now there are 1,000 spiritual practices and techniques to learn how to do that. It just requires some effort. I break effort down into this scale. If you can figure out how to carve out 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, to do some form of spiritual practice, whether it's meditation, prayer, ritual, ceremony, whatever it's going to be. If you could do 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, that's C plus effort. If you can do 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, that's B plus effort. And if you can do 90 minutes a day, 6 days a week, that's A plus effort. Your effort will always be paid in the volumes of repetition and the more aha moments you get by learning something long term and getting off of shiny subject to shiny subject, curiosity, learning moments to the next curiosity, the next curiosity, until you've learned about everything but have mastered nothing.
We did a show about the idea that what if everything that we've been told about what happens when it's over is not real. And so what if this is all you had? And people think they think they can waste this because someday there's going to be some other thing that's going to be better, or just like we can waste the earth because we could fly away with Elon Musk with our Muskaphones and go to Mars and talk on satellites or whatever. You know what I mean? The thing is that there's always this sense of something is going to be different, someplace else, and no kind of realization of the moment. And you're saying, if what you're saying resonates with people, that the past, present, and future is all happening in this moment, then if we waste the moments, we don't know what's going to happen when the lights go out. It's going to probably
Thus, like daily practice. And the other part of that daily practice is learning how to train yourself for the longer journey. I call it like being ready to do a 30K run. There are certain spiritual practices that we do that are like putting ourselves into training for that 30K run. And part of that journey into self-mastering is doing our own self-litmus test. Are we neutral or acidic to our own concepts? Oftentimes we find ourselves stuck in a set of choices we just can't get ourselves out of. I experience that a lot in my private sessions and helping people get themselves unlocked and back to a much more unrestricted perception.
So we take something that happens, we make an assumption, we make it mean something, and then we act as though it's true.
Correct. And sometimes people go to the next level and make it a massive myth that they can never overcome. It's a legendary process inside themselves. Like people who are afraid of talking in public is that example. That's because something's going on with their personal personality and how it evolved within them. But those are other traumatic things to explore. But getting over a lot of public speaking is very easy. The same thing with the fear of water, the standard 10 phobias.
Are you familiar with landmark communications?
Yes, I am.
Have you been through the course?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I've been through both. I've been through the advanced course and the basic course there. So I'll bring some of that into this dialogue right now. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to be said about it. There's some things that are I really don't have anything negative to say about it, even though it is mind control. It is, retraining and reconditioning people. But it's around integrity. It's around being about your word. And ultimately, what happens in there is that as children, we develop something that's called a racket. Okay? And a racket is what we do to the world to get what we need. And so each of our rackets is all based around who we were what environment we were in when we grew up. And so what we do then is we hone that racket and hold on to it for the rest of our lives and use that to get what we need out of the world. And so what they do in Landmark is try to help you figure out exactly what your racket is. So, and I'm going to give some people some more shit on this real quick. So the thing is, it's like there's something that happens, okay? That happens. But then there's what you make it mean.
Exactly.
And then you use...
It's called coloring the experience. Mm-hmm. And part of spiritual practices is coming into the truth of how did I really color it and what's the truth now.
Mm-hmm. And so what we make it mean, the ultimate thing, the question that they ask you at the end, and I'll ask each one of you guys, and I won't give you the answer. I'll ask each of you to answer it, but I won't tell you what they tell you after you tell me. So this is the question after you go through the course. At the very end of the course, this is the question that they ask you. Andrew, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate,
Why?
because that's my expression of my flavor.
Okay. Bruce, chocolate or vanilla?
Well, I don't know, man. Like, I'd have to go into a bunch of sub questions. Ben and Jerry's, Haagen-Dazs, Seal Test. I don't know. Maybe I just
chocolate or
indirectly
vanilla?
answered your question
Chocolate
from
or
the
vanilla?
landmark perspective. But I'll go with chocolate as well, just
Why?
because.
Why?
Well, I have an affinity for chocolate. It's a
Okay.
more colorful flavor for me.
That's good.
It's a more
That's good. Epic Journeyman, chocolate or vanilla?
Both.
No. It's one or the other, chocolate or vanilla.
Not eating ice cream then.
Okay. All right. Well, well,
He's
Andrew.
not doing this 0 and 1 thing, Jimmy.
Hey,
He's not going to give you a binary.
I know. Well, check this out. Andrew got it right, and so did Bruce. So what the thing is you say chocolate or vanilla. Why? You don't have to give anybody a fucking reason why. You got chocolate because you want chocolate. That's what you want. Okay. Why is the story? Why? Oh, because it's Ben and Jerry's, and it's this and it's that and it's the other thing, and I got to go to the fucking refrigerator, and on the way there I got an argument with my wife, and blah 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 blah. blah.
Who only likes Ben and Jerry's? Boost tracks.
I'll tell you this, man. A long time ago, I did a network at Dreyer's Grand Old Ice Cream, and I was up there running network stuff in there, and I have never smelled a stench. The stench of that ice cream, man. You would never eat it. I mean, it was like I did the Anheuser-Busch facility in Richmond, and the spent grain, the stench of that beer, man. I could smell a Budweiser from across the room, man. Seriously. It's rank. But anyways, my name's Jimmy, and before we get into the weeds, it's 626-999-4761. 626-999-4761. I'm going to play a little bit of music. You guys go grab something to drink. Take a quick break, a couple minutes, and as soon as we get top of the hour here, you guys call in 626-999-4761. The Galactic Historian, Andrew Bartzis, andrewbartzis.com, BARTZIS. And mosey on over there and see what's going on. Let's do this here. And 626-999-4761. 626-999-4761. Give us a call.
Same beating path again, step into the jungle outside. Feels easy, just laying with you. Say nothing, there's nothing to do.
Southtomouth.fm. 626-999-4761. 626-999-4761. Give us a call.
It feels easy, just laying with you. No reason for leaving this room. Well, the man at the door said this is
831. Where you? I know you're calling from Santa Cruz somewhere. Who's this? Who's this?
Am I on the air?
Yeah, you're on the air, man. Who's this?
This is Andres from Royal Oaks.
Hey, Andres. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. So you're on the air with Andrew Bartzis. Did you have a question for him, man?
Just to see if I could get his take on retrocausality. I've been listening all night, and he's kind of tiptoeing around the whole thing, and it sounds like he's understanding of it, but just I heard it first on Clyde Lewis, the concept of retrocausality, and just wanted to see if he's ever heard of it or if
yeah,
how it works.
So what let's understand, set up a concept. What is causality first in your particular point of view?
One thing leads to another because of not just by nature or naturally, but causing. Hey, geez, this is hard to explain.
It's important.
I know. It's just like one thing depends on another before it creates something else, correct. I guess. And without that one thing, the other thing would not happen.
Correct. This is also known as a standing frequency in time. Something that has to happen and not happen at the same time. It has to have all potentialities in its frequency. Free will determine however that paradox is going to resolve itself. Now, a retrocausality is something we experience in a lot of the highly controlled lineages, such as the Rothschilds example, where they'll regularly have a previous version of a powerful self come into another powerful self during uniquely powerful times. That means an old self is coming to the future, and the future is going to the past to make a simultaneous existing choice so it can manipulate time itself. These are rituals and spells that are done on people before they die, so when they come into the new life, they're bringing the old energy, transferring it to the new frequency, the new person. This is a way to understand how consciousness can be a part of the guerrilla warfare that is timeline wars itself. And many of the big families have figured out how to use their own version of powerful guerrilla warfare that keeps them into the high level of causality, meaning they're driving forward the hologram and declaring themselves the masters of the time. Does this make sense?
They're conquering the present by claiming victory in the future?
Correct. This is what the other form of retrocausality too. They're creating a future through their actions of the many nows.
All right, I can understand that. Something else that came into or came through my mind while thinking about this was that there really is that choice is an illusion, and choice really isn't a real thing.
Yes, it is. Choice is absolutely a real thing. It's free will. Everything in this reality is about choice. And choice that the consciousness has to choose is what science has to come to understanding, and the bridging the next level of how choice and consciousness creates and defines the physics of our reality, and metaphysics and all the other physics we haven't even learned yet, that are influenced by the causality of an entangled soul in a local event, empowering a local event, which is now going to have an ongoing causality effect, which is karma.
So has the transcendence or the the alchemical journey from lead to gold, or the raising of the frequency to get yourself past the entanglements? How do you get past these entanglements? Isn't this like repeated over and over in every one of these religions?
Yes, all of the religions are about getting an entanglement. So, and I'm going to use the scientific term cavitation.
Okay.
All the alchemists of the past understood cavitation. Right. Cavitation that reaches a point where the bubble of energy turns into the crystal, et cetera, et cetera. We all have that at any moment in choice to make a full alchemical moment of solidified infinite energy in our potentiality right now.
So what we got to do though is we got to explain what you mean by cavitation, because that's the moment if a drop of water is dropping into the water.
Yep.
That is the moment simply before anything happens. Something's happening both and not happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And the cavitation point is where it all happens, ladies and gentlemen. That's where the magic happens.
I can give you the sonar definition.
Go ahead.
Example, and if you look at a choice as the droplet of water hitting the water, choice does what? It is the magical moment. It's what allows us to be an empowered local event and a causality as well as an unentangled observer, meaning our higher spiritual frequencies are equally a part of that unique moment where we're expanding our consciousness. Whatever aha is going on, and all of a sudden there's the expansion that comes after the aha.
It's like a ball bouncing when it's in the air. You don't know where it's going to land. And Epic Journeyman, you were going to make a sonar reference. Please do.
I was going to make a sonar reference. So in sonar, we're talking about props, obviously, primarily talking about screw blade configurations and cavitation. And what that is, it's the same premise. Cavitation is the transference of energy states where it creates these air pockets in the prop, right? And those air pockets, the thing about that is that I'm not going to make the mistake of calling it a transmutation, but it kind of is, because that is what enables you to not only get what you're looking at and identify it, transmedium across mediums, right? You're able to pick it up acoustically, right? Well, now what happens is it also creates harmonics. There's harmonics of that blade rate, and it just like the very thing you're talking about of reaching a cavitation state, that is an echo throughout the universe, and that echo throughout the universe can take you back to the source to find the prime blade rate in the case of the prop, or the prime frequency of the original source,
which is what I call unentangled observer. So the only way we can perceive that data is if we don't have any attachments. We've reached a neutral observational state.
Well, most of what you said went over my head, but I'm going to look more into it. Looking you up and learning more about it. But
I'll post.
One other thing that I wanted to ask was, how does learning fit into not repeating the same lesson over and over?
Great question.
Because one of the things that
go ahead.
I was going to say that when I was under the impression that choice is not real, and that you only level up when you learn your lesson, that the illusion of choice, in my understanding of cosmology, was actually once you learn the lesson that the universe is trying to teach you, then you get a different set of choices, illusion of choices, and then it's actually a lesson, not a choice of A and B, but learning. And if you don't learn it, it gets repeated to you in different ways until you do learn it, and then you level up.
Well, even if you learn it, it comes at you at a different way. In other words, if you say, oh, well, I walked down the sidewalk, I saw a hole, I fell in it. I walked down the sidewalk, I saw a hole, I fell in it. You walk around the hole, and then something will seduce you back to the hole that you didn't even expect in the first place. I'm sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
So what you're talking about is dogma that is limiting you from seeing a unlimited point of view. Everything is perception and perspective. And the way you described it was the way you learned it. And you're a visceral learner trying to learn something that's ephemeral, only in the moment. So it's one of those things that you have to visit, revisit, file, refile, learn, and relearn. And that's the other part of the self-mastery journey of learning that's tough. That we have to change some of the most fundamental parts of ourselves that don't want to grow up and don't want to grow older, and can subtly create dogmas about not learning, or ways to beat ourselves up because we're not rating ourselves against one thing or another. Choice is very much a part of this. Choice is free will. And however you adopted that religion or books that you read or whatever, you created something that didn't have the rest of the spiritual equation. It is choice. Choice is very much real. And when you add that back to your journey, you realize you've lost nothing and just gained a whole new way of seeing it. Because, again, perception and perspective is everything. It's what's going to determine if we're using water in our belief engine, or we're using, a rubbing alcohol, or whatever it is that we're going to use to fuel the greater passionate process of long-term learning. This is why I say, short-term learning is so detrimental to people's greater intelligence. I mean, there are people out there that have got 25 YouTube PhDs. Just because you watch some videos doesn't make you an expert on a subject. The old school people that have been in this community a while know what research really is. Epic, you know what research really is. And there's a lot of people that call themselves researchers, and all they are is website readers or video watchers.
Google searchers.
Yeah, I call them
Captain Googles.
Right, they got their YouTube PhD.
We're gonna.
Okay? When you get out of getting your YouTube PhD and begin researching and really putting some long-term effort to studying something, is where you'll truly learn what choice is so mystical and magical. It's that cavitational energy. Now, something else about cavitation, cavitation has also been proved that they can create gold out of lead. They can transfer from one thing to another, and the alchemists of the past knew this. And science, when you go to the point where the water droplets hitting, it actually is creating something from nothing. It's creating a crystal at the tip. This is why bubble cavitation theory is going to be, let's just say, a brand new source for source of science and consciousness working together. Richard
Allen Miller talks quite a bit about cavitation, also.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Bartzis. Caller, you're in Santa Cruz?
I am in Monterey County, North Monterey County.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm up in Santa Cruz in Scotts Valley. So I saw you were.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I saw you were 831. So, hey, thanks for calling, man. That's the trip that you're calling to. That's great. Really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your show, and I appreciate that you said you were up in the Santa Cruz Mountains the other day when it was really windy.
Yeah.
I never expected a local to be.
Yeah, there's another
Clyde Lewis like this.
Well, check this out. There's another local who's on here on Sundays, Steve Pekoinen with Slow News Day. He's going to be on with us tomorrow night. You can check in if you. We'll be doing just topical stuff, current events, stuff like that. But Steve's got a pretty hard hitting show on Sundays. You can check out 11 o'clock. Right here.
Right on. Well,
yeah.
Thank you for letting me know. I usually listen to a local AM station in 1080.
Yeah, 1080. AM. Yeah, KSCL. I know Michael Zwirling down there, the guy, and I also know a couple other people. So that's a great station. He's got a good thing going on down there. We might try to put the show on that station actually. So I'm gonna go down.
That would be a great thing. I've mentioned Clyde a few times, but I just recently discovered you guys. So thank you for the topics and. Good night.
Hey, we really appreciate you. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Right.
Appreciate the call.
Bye.
Hey, so let's take a quick get something to drink break, and I want you guys to hear something. This is a dude. His name's Mr. Probz, Probz. All his music's not like this, but this one in particular, I just feel like playing it. I just feel like I feel like playing it. So here we go. Actually, hang on. I'm not going to play this version of it. I'm going to play the different version because it's the one. And here comes another caller. Hey, 469. You back?
Hey.
Hey, stand by for stand by 1 second. Everybody's gonna grab something to drink. We're gonna listen to this song here for a second. So just stand by, brother.
Pray to a God and won't talk
No
back.
worry.
Her faith is dying, the tears are sign she's going off track. Praying to a God and won't talk back, won't talk back. Down on the knees here, praying to a God and won't talk back. Hey.
It's Aftermath.fm. It's into the microcosm.
Mama believed that the devil had a dress on, so she's out on the town tonight. She got a vest on. Her daddy believed that the needle was a highway, so she powders her nose. She just looking for the right shade. It gets hard to feel the friction underwater. She's breaking down, tearing at the border. And too deep to save herself, she takes a pill that seems to help. Close her eyes and picture standing at the altar. She's praying to a God and won't talk back. Her faith is dying.
469. Where are you calling from?
Texas.
Texas. Right on. Well, thanks for calling. What's your name, and do you have a question for Andrew?
Yeah. My handle's Tetractus.
Hey, Tetractus.
And sir.
No, I was just saying, hey.
Oh, right on. Hey. Mr. Gene, thank you for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure. I really appreciate it. I'm really humbled tonight being in the presence of like three geniuses in your own right. Just want to say hello first to all the Mr. Bartzis. It's such a pleasure to speak with you, and just say what's up to Epic Journeyman.
Hey.
And
how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Wonderful. What did you think of our show today so far?
Oh, I've loved it. Your shows always go so deep, which is what I really am attracted to when I'm looking for knowledge or seeking knowledge or enlightenment, or or the next direction.
Somebody's got.
I always get that from this show.
Somebody's got something going on. Somebody's got something going on in the background. Can everybody, if you're not talking?
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's me. I'm sorry. I'll kill it.
Yeah, no
there
problem.
There you go. It's gone.
No, yeah,
sorry.
this way.
Well, thanks for calling. We're all in the journey together.
Yeah, man.
Like, that's the thing. So it's like one of these things where the more of us that are partaking in it, the better the outcome, I think, because more eyes on means more thoughts. More thoughts means more creative energy.
Well, that was such a heartfelt compliment, too. We thank you very much for that. That was really very, very appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, guys. I appreciate what you do. I was wondering, for Mr. Bartzis, do you give any credence to the Terra Papers version of how our galaxy basically came to being?
I do not support that material, no.
At all, or do you think there's like some truth and some not, or do you just think it's complete?
So what is
information?
What is truth? You have to understand my state of perception.
It's relative.
It's relative, and then your state of perception, is it relative to my state of perception? Right. So there may be something that has an inspired journey to it, and like some people try to compare my material to the Wingmakers, and if you actually just listen to my material, it's nothing to do with the Wingmakers other than the term time traveling, which I go far more in depth into, because the war on consciousness has been through the traveling and manipulation of time, and our fundamental process of human beings as we detoxify from Roman numeral time, the current era of servitude time that we're in, and we're able to enter a more sovereign expression of our own frequency of time that we own with our highest connected God source energy, doing what we're supposed to be doing, even though we may still be living in this duality now.
Right.
So to say that one material is more effective than the other is a judgment. And the next thing is, there was a lot of really crappy material out in the world right now. There are these people that say you should only be doing shadow work, and I slap my hand on my head and go, what about the light work? If you're always doing the shadow work, you don't know how to do the light work. And there are a lot of people that are weekend warriors and spiritual charlatans and people that are fake it to make it, because it works in spirituality now. And there's so many books and products out there that really shouldn't be books and products.
Right.
Okay. And unfortunately, you have a spirituality world that has developed a very bad marketing habit of it's going to happen tomorrow. And if you buy my shit, it will happen tomorrow for you. But tomorrow never comes.
And Jimmy was talking about that last night, about, people expecting the apocalypse, expecting the apocalypse. I've got this food shit sitting here, that'll last for 25 years, but, I'm not going to get a chance to fucking use it because the apocalypse not coming,
Now, December 21st, 2012, I led a 22-station marathon titled Nothing Was Going to Happen Tomorrow. Okay? Let me tell you the kickback I got from the spiritual community, but I didn't care. Because so many people are created. This last election, whatever side you believe in, Trump was Jesus. come on, you've reached the realm of absurdity and conspiracy.
That goes back to what we were saying earlier, which is that people want to jump off the planet and go to Mars, and they don't want to deal with it. They want somebody. They want to go someplace else. They want a savior. They want a Trump. They want a savior. They want a Jesus. They want all this stuff to come down and save them. And like I was saying earlier, the thing is, you only can save yourself, and you're only in the prison by yourself. There's nobody else in the prison. The bars are invisible, and you're only bound by your own, ability to break through that. And the thing is I felt recently like there's an energy going on where I feel like we're like I've been let out of my dirty cage, man. And now I'm free to be myself, and I'm gonna do it. And so it's an interesting time to be alive right now. I mean, the interesting thing is that we talk about the altered negativity down in Austin, Texas, and we say that, as that audience grows and the power of the intention behind the end coming is everybody's this big heartbeat. It's, this giant heartbeat that everybody's creating this intention of this horrible future. And it seems like as the listenership in Austin, Texas has gotten bigger, shit has gotten worse because more and more people are on the bandwagon of negativity. They lay down and pray to it every single day.
Wait, I live like an hour from Austin, and I'm not aware what's going down in Austin. If you don't mind me asking,
the Alex Jones,
long, like we can skip it.
Alex Jones operations, what's going on down there?
Oh yeah, he and his dad are I can't remember which, but one's a keymaster and one's a gatekeeper. from what I've read, he's not to be trusted, and he may not even know he's being used, but his daddy sure as hell knows what the fuck's going on. So.
That's true, but the thing is, he doesn't.
I want to chime in here a
Please
second.
Do.
When it comes to the top level talking heads, and what is a talking head? Something that's on a video screen, that's your news, your authority figure that's telling you this is what you believe in. Mm-hmm. A talking head.
Yeah.
Alex Jones is a talking head.
Yes.
Okay. And you must understand, he's there for oppositional research of a talking head.
Right.
Okay? They're trying to understand the conspiracy community through Alex Jones' character playing Alex Jones.
Right.
So there's a multi-level operation because who is the majority of his listeners? Boomers. Why?
Right.
Why? They're the ones that survived his deplatforming, and they figured out how to use a network other than YouTube.
Right.
Okay? They probably, many of them still have AOL emails. Okay?
That's funny. I worked in IT for 20 years, and I had this girl one time. She goes, said something about her AOL account, and I said, "What? You fucking telling me AOL still exists? It still exists? What the?" Yeah.
That's crazy, man. So do you have any other questions? Don't forget Bruce is on here too, and so is Epic. So you can shoot them a question too if you want to while you're on here.
Yeah, I had some stuff on my mind, but and then when I put it on the spot, I forget.
I know, that's all right. That's all right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
But no, you didn't. I guess just what do you?
Well, let me do this. Let me ask you a question.
Sure. Absolutely anything.
Okay, so how are you feeling right now about the future? Because it seems like, I'm just saying, I go on YouTube there and I'm seeing these commercials, and nobody has masks on the commercials. Everybody's hugging each other, saying, "Oh, we haven't seen you in so long," and it seems like all of a sudden we've been released from the bondage. What are you feeling like right now for the future? Are you feeling positive? Or are you feeling negative? What are you feeling, man?
I feel like with Klaus Schwab, by the way, since I can say it, fuck you, Klaus Schwab, and fuck you, Bill Gates. I think the shit that they're planning is so boundlessly evil, and this reset they keep talking about is a huge fucking red flag. And I don't let fear overtake me, but at the same time, I have to look at reality square in the fucking face, you know? And that's what's going on. So unfortunately, you know, I think the people that are awake and that are going to be seeing this shit coming, we're going to be fine, you know, spiritually and everything. We'll be good. But, you know, I think, I think there's some heavy shit coming down.
Well, you said you were in IT for 20 plus years. So let me ask you this: now, this cyber polygon exercise is coming up, where they're gonna, you know, and then your buddy over there, Klaus Schwab, he's saying, well, there's going to be an internet virus is going to be 10 times as more harmful to the earth than the one that we just went through. And then we got this cyber polygon coming up. We see hacking of the pipelines. We see all this stuff, explosions going off everywhere. People get. Well, I mean, what's going on with the IT? Do you think there's going to be a?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. I think I thought the last one was instead of on the meat industry, I thought the one after the pipeline would be a grid. This is all gain of function exercise. They're testing right now to see what the fuck, you know, the general public, mass public's going to do when that shit happens. Then they're going to fucking actually unleash it, you know, for a long-term period. Okay. And that's how, you know, they're going to create the dragon so they can slay the dragon, so they can absorb us all into this one world order bullshit mentality, and state of living.
Listen
you know,
to this.
They're talking about giving up, you know, what's her name? Fucking Kamala Harris has already talked about we need to even make some behaviors illegal. And she was talking about meat consumption.
Well, look at this. Listen to this. Hackers steal 20 million user logon credentials for sites like Amazon and Facebook. That's today. Hackers using a custom Trojan type.
Yeah, it's easy. I did cybersecurity for about 2 years with a buddy of mine. Now, I wasn't an expert, but I learned a lot. And yeah, it's scary. I don't use any social media anymore since I did that work about 12 years ago. I really don't use. If I do, I use it under a fake name or something. I never give my information out. Now, sometimes when I order something, I'll give my real name. I don't even like doing that. But I feel like I almost have to make sure I get my shit properly. You know, I put my name on it. If I put an assumed name, I'm, you know, I don't have anything to say. Oh no, this is really me. I'm Bob. You know, I can't say I'm Bob Bobby. You know, or whatever.
Do you take time, you know, like Andrew's suggesting? Do you take time each week to stay away from the internet and stay? I mean, you're not on the internet too much. You just. What do? You stay away from it, or I mean, how do you stay away from getting the constant barrage of information coming in?
Me?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So do you take time for yourself, barefoot? You know, put your feet in the dirt, sit under a tree.
I have a VPN, so I do a lot of let's say I do a lot of what's called sharing, and. So, you know, it doesn't really fucking matter. My ISP doesn't even know. As for all they know, some reason they've got a fucking computer that's in Saudi Arabia on their network all of a sudden, you know, because I've
got a proxy
connected to a server in a different part of the world. So, I mean, to answer your question, I guess more directly, I do a lot of research. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of research. I watch a lot of, you know, spiritually, I call it, I guess I could call it, you can call it, for lack of a better term, like spiritually educational or esoteric educational stuff on YouTube.
So what are you thinking?
I'm a big comic nerd, so, you know,
are you thinking
a lot of that kind of shit.
You thinking you're going to step out and go up to Amazon and grab a book that Andrew just put together and take that home and try to get
Actually, I'm on his website, and I was just trying to figure out, because I'm in the shop part, is it the one, is it Dragons Uncovered 1 and 2?
No.
You got to go to Amazon.com for that.
What was the actual name of the book? Because that's why I went to your website to try to figure out the name of it.
Andrew Bartzis, the Galactic Historian. The world according to Andrew Bartzis, the Galactic Historian.
The world...
According to Andrew Bartzis, the Galactic Historian. That's the title of the book.
Just search for the the Galactic Historian, and you'll find it. There's
See, that's what I did. That's what I did search for, and all I could find was
somebody dropped. Yeah.
But that was on Google, and they sucked. So I'll try DuckDuckGo later. DuckDuckGo always gives better.
Yeah.
Results.
Just go into Amazon and type in my name, Andrew Bartzis, and it'll show you it right away.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's BARTZ.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. I wanted to add something to what you're saying was what's going to happen short term here, and you were talking about computers and computer viruses. Who all remembers Stuxnet?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to bring up, because in Stuxnet they didn't just use like Python and actual programming, current programming languages. They used old fucking machine for like a machine shop, like an industrial machine shop, like that kind of old ass code mixed in with it, and that was there's this saying in the hacker world, the old shit always still works most of the time.
And there's a reason. There's a reason why it works. Those guys thought differently then. They had an open field ahead of them, where it's a closed field now. Okay, they had they were the new frontier people, and that allowed them a different way to think. Okay, and before networks were even created, they created ways into a network that hadn't even been created yet.
Exactly.
Now, I want to add.
They exploited weaknesses that they found by trial and error.
Created weaknesses by teaching, by telling people that this isn't a weakness. It's the right way to program. Now, what we've seen so far as a setup to this whole Polygon thing is a variety of attacks. We're also getting gas explosions inside China too. We've had about 10 gas explosions in 4 days.
Wow.
Okay. Lots of things are going on in the background. And what I think is you may see a multi-pronged application of Stuxnet that will hit several industries simultaneously. Now, will it happen? I think that's what Polygon's going to determine. Yeah. What industries via the news may not seem too bad, but 2 weeks into the crisis, it becomes real bad.
Right.
Okay. But it's still about generating news views. The crisis will end, just like when they did Deepwater Horizon. Okay, look how much they milked out of that one. Okay, so what they're setting us up for is a milking scenario where all the sides are going to be polarized and charged, and all the new villains and bad guys are going to appear, and there's going to be a whole bunch of things for conspiracy to talk about for the next several months.
And there's probably going to be some whole new reason why we got to make sure we know who we are on the internet from now on, with your retina scan and all this other shit, because when they wipe out the Wall Street and they wipe out the Federal Reserve, we'll have to go to that new digital currency.
They're never going to wipe out Wall Street or the Fed. Why? Because that's what owns the debt, and the debt is what keeps everyone in servitude.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was in either in February or March. They announced. So FedCoin wasn't really originally scheduled to come out. I believe it was 2025.
Mm-hmm.
But then I heard an announcement. I think it was on Clyde Lewis, actually. I heard this. Now, this is several months ago, and so I haven't looked into it recently. But they said that they were going to push it to release it by July of this year.
Well, check this out. While Trump was in office and they went for that first bailout stuff, they put in there that the money would be paid to people in FedCoin, and the Republicans struck it out of there at the last minute. Yeah. But they were trying to see that's what they're going to try to do, is they'll take and they'll give the universal income on that type of a platform, so people spend it. They spend it into existence, because as soon as people got their food stamps and it's on FedCoin from now on, stores will have to accept FedCoin in order to because every time the food stamps come out, people go to the grocery store. You know what I mean? So it comes out worth nothing, and then they spend it into reality, like we were talking about earlier, creating reality. So
commoditizing a derivative.
Yeah. Well, aren't we derivatives though? I mean, human beings are derivatives in each country that they live in, are they not? So my taxes are extrapolated for as long as I'm going to live, and that's how much I'm worth. And then they group me together with millions of other motherfuckers, and they take that out and make a loan on it, and that's how they pay for all the shit that they're doing. It ain't my taxes that they're using to pay for anything.
Yeah, you know, there's a reason. There's a reason they call it the stock market. It's because companies live and die by the blood, sweat, and tears of us, the workers, and the elites and everybody. They see us just as fucking livestock. Mm-hmm. So, anyway.
See, the thing is, you cannot call the stock market the economy, and that's the first thing you learn in economics 101. Right. The stock market's not the economy; it's the casino betting house, and the economy has nothing to do with the stock market. But they have juxtaposed the position to make everyone think that the stock market is the economy, but it isn't. It's so ridiculously fake right now that everybody in the industry knows it's ridiculously fake, but they're still supporting it.
Yeah.
It's well, they're sitting there watching these bipolar numbers. You know, it's just ridiculous.
It is. Well, listen. Thanks for calling, man. You got anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks for taking my call, man.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Love you guys, and
hey, yeah,
it was an awesome show.
Badass.
It was a pleasure to talk to you, sir.
Hey, it's our pleasure. We really appreciate you, man. Give us a call back. We'll be here tomorrow night too. Stop in for Steep Coin and Slow News Day. You guys ever heard of Mike Love? Any of you guys
from the Beach Boys? No, you mean the other guy?
No. Yeah, this is a guy. This guy is a. This guy may be one of those tonal masters that you were talking about earlier, Andrew. Okay. 626-999-4761. Give us a call. Andrew Bartzis, andrewbartzis.com, Bartzis. You can go Galactic Historian, The World According to Andrew Bartzis on Amazon, and you can check his book out. And like Bruce says, it's not a book you read, it's a book you experience and you be with. So let's be with Mike Love for a couple minutes, man. We keep trying to go get something to drink, and this time we're going to do it. You guys go get something to drink. I got to man the phone lines, but you guys do it. Mike Love. Check out the lyrics to this song, ladies and gentlemen. And this is one man, one guitar. Optimouth FM.
no song, all has gone wrong. And when I awoke, I could clearly see the seeds of this vision Jah had given me, planted deep within these aristocracies, hypocrisy and power and greed. So wake up to the fact that
626-999-4761. 626-999-4761. Give us a call.
Jah knows it's true, and I know it's true, and I'm just telling you this because I love you, brethren, through and through. I'm untrue until the very end. The sweeter the kiss, the stronger the poison, and this is the reason that I dreams them dying for nothing. It's Babylon control. It's Hollywood mind control. Yeah. They take it to you, they show you the proof. Come and see the truth is written, and I am on soul. I am on soul. Yeah. It's news media control. Political mind control. Yeah. Get under your skin, step up in your thin, but do not give in for that all that glitter is gold. Yeah.
626-999-4761. 626-999-4761. Here we go. 760. Mm, 760. I don't know what happened to 760. They just called in, but they disappeared off. 626-999-4761. Try again. 760. Tosh Sultana.
Never thought I'd feel this way again. I'm going down too, and your lies. I'm lost, I'm lost. But I feel so confused, and my heart's so abused, and I think I'm gonna lose. I'm in trouble now, but my legs are up in the nose, and I feel like I am accused.
626-999-4761. 626-999-4761. I can't pull you back in, 760. You got to call back. This is one girl, one guitar. Tosh Sultana. She got huge, man. She got all big. She made that in her bedroom. That was called the bedroom recording. So you can find that Tosh Sultana higher. Looks like 760 is calling back. All right, here you go, 760. Come on in. Are you there, 760? I don't know what's going on.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Well, I'm chilling, dude.
Excellent. Well, what's going on? Where are you calling from? I don't know where 760 is.
Oceanside, California.
Nice. Are you in the Navy?
No. No.
You know,
far from it.
When I used to live down in San Diego, everyone who wasn't in the Navy, they called everyone in the Navy swabs. Do they still call people in the Navy swabs down there?
I've lived here for 11 years, and I've actually never heard that.
It was back in the day. Epic will remember back then they used to call all the Navy dudes swabs.
Well, okay, well, no, I guess I have heard that, but like, when did you live here?
Oh, it was a long time ago. I grew up down in La Mesa. I went to Helix High School.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, man. So did
Right
Epic.
on, dude.
You know what's a trip is Epic met me when I was a junior high, and we didn't know each other.
No way.
I swear to God. I mean, he told me on the show. He's like, did you have a blue skateboard? A light blue skateboard, and I did, And so it turns out that he and I met. So hey,
I actually heard you tell that story a while back.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that is crazy because I did wonder how you knew each other.
Yeah, no.
How long have you been doing your show, man?
I don't know. Epic and I have been doing the show together for what, like 2.5 years, 3 years, Epic?
2.5, yeah. Going back to another network.
Yeah.
And then
then Rio and I were doing it before Epic was on. And Brandy was doing it before Rio. So Brandy was on the show, and then Rio, I was doing a show, and on a particular song. We were talking about this song, Justin Timberlake, Supplies. And Rio called in, and he said he'd run reverse on it. So he ran reverse, and then
wow.
And then he came on, and then he just stayed on. And then it turned into, he was helping produce the show from New York when I was up in Colorado. He was doing all what I do here in New York. So yeah, no, we've been around for a bit, man. We're super stoked to be here on Aftermath. Did you have a question for our guest Andrew? So I mean,
yeah, I guess
he's the Galactic Historian, man. He's
Andrew Bartzis.
Bartzis.
Right, Bartzis.
Bartzis. Yeah.
Bartzis.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I was kind of wondering, like, what kind of, because you guys are blowing me away, honestly. Like, this is fabulous.
Thank you.
But, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Jimmy. Man, you guys, and Epic Journeyman, you guys are fucking awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I forgot.
We really appreciate it, man.
I was on the air with you last night. I was your last caller, and I forgot to cuss.
Oh, Snoopy. This is hey, is this way cool, Snoopy?
No, this is Lou.
Oh, Lou. Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Lou. Snoopy was.
You can cuss again if you want.
Yeah, you can cuss some more. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say I fucking forgot to cuss last night.
Oh, there you go. Well, now you got it.
So, thank you. Man, so cool. But, I'm wondering, like, what kind of, like, is there any kind of breathing, like, techniques or how important is breathing? And Epic Journeyman, I was kind of wondering since, you know a lot about a lot of shit, like, but I want to ask you personally, like, how long can you hold your breath?
I used to be able to hold my breath for 3.5 minutes pretty consistently spearfishing, but now
really?
Now it's a little over 1.5 minutes maybe. I just went out freediving the other day, and I was disappointed with myself. But I'll get back up there. I'm not spearfishing anymore.
So it's practice.
Yeah, pretty much anybody.
Everything is practice.
Yeah.
And when it comes to breathing exercises are the most fundamental of many spiritual practices. But there are other religions that don't teach anything about breathing whatsoever. They expect you to learn it on your own. Breathing is about controlling the body, but not controlling the body out of whim. It's literally controlling it out of breath. And when you understand what breath work means, you get access to the more potent, powerful energies that are hidden within the space between atoms, waiting for you to call upon the power through breath. Breath work helps us manifest and solidify through the high anxiety and stressful times. That's why breathing works. We are breath-based beings. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Life is the breath of God, right?
Yeah.
Why
you
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm just wondering, like, is this a big part of, our like I'm a collective person in this journey, if you will. You know, like I don't know how to breathe right sometimes. I would like to.
You can go on YouTube and get a YouTube PhD in prana breathing, Wim Hof breathing in 25 minutes. Or you can pick up a book like Wim Hof breathing would probably be the best breathing exercise to start with.
The Wim Hof method, it's called.
Yeah.
Well,
and then you can go experience some of the other yoga type breathing exercises. There's so many breathing exercise techniques out there, but it's still about what you're going to practice and learn. And the Wim Hof method is an outstanding method for people to learn that it can be applied into any state of consciousness or being.
I realized at one point when I was trying to quit smoking that the reason people can't quit smoking is because smokers only breathe when they smoke. So in other words, like you know, people are. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I realized that, you know, when I was trying to quit smoking, it was part of what helped me be successful at the time to quit, was that I realized that I wasn't breathing, and so I was, you know, every time I wanted to have a cigarette, you know, I just, you know, breathe in that same pattern, you know, to keep myself going. So, you know, breath works, you know, a lot of, you know, you can reach, you know, there's people that are all into it. There's some weird shit going on where people are all into having orgasms and choking themselves out. I mean, you know, they say that that's what killed Chris Cornell, is people are into this.
Yeah.
This
and David Carradine.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, the oxygen flows when you breathe, right? So, I mean, that's what is now it gets all the, you know, mechanisms in your body's flow. So the less you breathe, the less active your internal combustion engine is going to be working very well. So, I mean, in conjunction with the breathing and the water, you know. So if you're drinking water and you're breathing, you know, have you ever read a book called Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse?
No.
Yeah, it kind of encapsulates our conversation that we're having here today, because it's about a seeker, and he goes around and he tries to find somebody, a spiritual teacher. And no one ever measures up, and so he just goes off on this journey, and he ends up, you know, meeting this riverboat man who puts him across the river, and he goes off and meets a woman and goes into this whole thing where she won't be with him because he's just a lowly pauper, so now he needs money. So he goes to the sales guy, to this merchant, and applies for a job. And usually when guys went and applied for the job from the merchant, they would come in, you know, wanting something and trying to perform to get the job. But Siddhartha wasn't like that. He just, the guy says, well, you know, he said, you know, you need a job, this and that. And he says, yeah. He says, but I know how to breathe, you know, and I know how to drink water. And, you know, that's all I need. So beyond that, I don't need your job. And it was because he didn't need the job that it made the merchant want him to be his salesman. And so he made him his salesman. He went on with his life. He went through it. He became the best salesman there was. He got the woman he wanted, but he started drinking liquor, and he started getting high and getting fucked up. And eventually he ended up, you know, through the worldly adventure that he goes on as a result of meeting this woman with lips like the figs from a, you know, special tree, he ends up back on the bank of that same river that he went across. And he goes back up there, and he finds the riverboat ferryman. He takes him back across the river, and he learns throughout that whole story, what he learns is that the sound of the river was the Om sound, and that he ends up becoming the riverboat ferryman. And you know, he realizes that the flow of the river is the flow of life. It's a good book.
Nice. Oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah.
It's a journey, man. You know. And it's like what we were saying earlier with the choices. See what I mean?
Yeah.
He made those choices, man. He chose to go across the river. He chose to go on that hike. He saw that woman because he made those choices. And as a result of that, boom! His whole life happened as a result of that one single choice he made in that moment. And that's what this whole show has been about. So not only should you get Andrew's book, but you could also go to the library and get Siddhartha for yourself, or get it on a audio book or something and take a listen to it, because I think it's a great story.
I hadn't read that one.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
What's
Epic.
that Epic Journeyman?
Oh, so I hadn't read that one. Yeah, I mean, that I need to read that. myself.
It's a key book.
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah, well, Hess has
Yeah.
Hess. Here comes another caller. 210's calling in. So yeah, Hess. He has these books. So he has Siddhartha. He has Damien, Steppenwolf, and then the Glass Bead Game is his master work. So if you were to read those are pretty much a journey that a lot of male people go through. Some of the things that happen, like in Damien, for example, when he's growing up, it's like all the things, exactly what we were talking about earlier. So maybe Herman Hesse has a direct connection to your work, Andrew, because a lot of the lessons from some of those stories actually tie into some of the actual information you're really giving us tonight. So it's pretty interesting. We got a new caller, 210. What's up, man? How's it going?
What's going on?
What's happening? Did you got a question? It's good to have you.
Yeah, quick question.
Yeah.
Kind of for all of y'all, because we were talking about earlier, I was thinking about it, and do you think a culture, because it seems like there's a huge lack of culture, especially in the United States. I feel like there's a huge lack, but being in San Antonio, being close to the border, and like growing up here my entire life, there's a huge Hispanic culture, and does it have a major play in the psyche of the individualism, like being like mind play, you feel like you belong, not belong, but you know what I'm saying, like you feel it throughout the community, you feel it throughout the people,
Yeah, you're resonating what's going on around you, like the vibration of the culture that may be around you, like so you begin to resonate with the culture, even though you may not be from that culture, but you begin to resonate with it. Is that what you mean?
Oh yeah, exactly.
What do you think about that, Andrew?
That's a fundamental part of the control-based reality, where they're trying to get the melting pots of many cultures into the cities, so that multiculturalism can be viewed in a negative perception and basis. Okay? Because there are people who are stuck in multiculturalism that don't want to be in multiculturalism, or they're stuck in a monoculture that will never change. Like you go to the country of Spain, it's so set in its ways, for it to have any type of real reform, the younger generations are going to have to shut off what the older generations have been forced into them. Or Latin America, why are none of the Latin American countries successful countries? It's ingrained into the corruption of the very nature of their people that have been living a corrupt lifestyle for hundreds and hundreds of years because of the original Spanish corruptions.
Yeah.
And isn't really that the fundamental issue right now, is how we've been trained to corrupt ourselves in little ways, to corrupt what we believe in, to ignore the negative part of some asshole because he's doing something over here that we like. But we've learned to, he's the lesser of two evils. So we compromise our principles to get somebody in office where we have to forget what they did over here because they're doing what we want over here now. And so these little minor ways were the same thing with like taking a piss test at work. It's compromising my principles, but I have to do it, and I did it, and it corrupted me when I did it because it was going against what I believed to be right. And so so what they do is they reward your corruption. And so you get rewarded in a lot of ways, man. Maybe you're going to get a cookie over here.
They reward your conformity.
Go ahead, please expand.
They reward your conformity. So the cultural hypnosis is very difficult. It lures people into that hypnotic state of conformity. Conforming because everyone else is conforming. I will never be the lone wolf ahead of the pack. They can't break out of the conformity or the cultural conformity that's around them.
Well, it's almost so this is a mold that we're all put into, right? It's an injection mold. Looks like they took the raw material and they turned us into something, and then we exist merely. Is this like the egg bubble that you sit in and you click on your machine all day, like in the Matrix? Like they're just feeding you some nutrients, and as long as you're clicking, the shit.
I still want taco trucks. Damn it!
I know.
I don't want medical packs
no.
or tubes in me. I want taco trucks. I want sushi.
Yeah. There you go. Well,
I have about 15. I have 15 around me right now. So.
Taco truck. Yeah.
I'm envious.
Sure.
I'm envious, man.
Yeah.
Not over here in Maui. We don't have them.
I'm so envious right now too.
I know. I want to move to Hawaii and open up a tacos truck, man.
I'm telling you.
I'm serious. Because listen, man, the Mexican food in San Antonio, Texas, is out of this world, man.
It's different. I travel out of the state. I can't wait to get home. I just feel.
Yeah. The recipes are different. There's so many good recipes.
Smell it.
Yeah.
You can smell the city. It's like so good. It's like food.
Yeah. I don't mind resonating with that frequency whatsoever. I tell you right now.
And rockers. So many rockers.
Yeah.
Like it's just free, man. Like you can go across town, see somebody you haven't seen in a couple of years, and you know them. It's like, oh, what are you doing here?
I'll tell you what I think. I'm not the Galactic Historian Andrew Bartzis, andrewbartzis.com with a Z. But I'll tell you what I think. I think when this Polygon operation goes off, I think Texas is going to get hit bad. Your power is going. Your power is going.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just hope that the Texas barbecue can survive the oncoming Texas onslaught. Because you guys got taco trucks and barbecue. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have no water a little while ago when the power went out, and the people were standing in parks like third world countries without a clue of even how to fucking purify their water. So, listen, we're almost
taking a lot of that.
We're almost
out of context, though, man.
We're almost out of.
I saw in real life it wasn't that bad. They're taking a lot of that out of context to make it look worse than it was.
We're almost out of time. We got a minute left.
Sorry. Yeah.
We got a minute left. Just hang on. We're gonna stay on YouTube into the microcosm Jimmy Jean Strike Zone. We'll close it out there. Andrew, thank you so much. It's been a fantastic talk. I can't thank you enough. Bruce, MacDonald, Epic Journeyman, all the callers. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys participating. And we got to get out of here. So we'll see you tomorrow night. It's What the Fuck Wednesday night. So bring your parrot, and we'll see you. Aftermath.fm. This is Into the Microcosm. Monte Jimmy, Epic Journeyman, Andrew Bartzis, andrewbartzis.com, and Bruce MacDonald on Amazon. See you guys tomorrow night.
This town is coming like a ghost town. All the clubs are being closed down. This place.
All right. We are clear from the network. Stand by. Everything's out of here. That's gone. We're still on YouTube. Hey, YouTube, what's happening? You callers, are you still on the line?
Yep. Yeah, dude.
Okay, cool. So,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So,
sweet.
It's gonna be
Dude, you're killing me. You're killing me, dude.
Which dude?
The caller.
Oh, yeah.
It just has such a happy-go-lucky disposition, man.
He's cool, man.
Yeah.
Hey, we got great callers.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, Lou. Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you.
No, you guys are like slaying me. I tell you, like I'm fascinated every night by your topics and by your guests and by your knowledge.
Damn.
Oh my God.
I feel
I'm
good.
blessed.
You're making me feel good, man. Thank you.
I just we need to send you that check.
The reason.
Can I add to that?
The reason it makes us feel so good, bro, is because look, we do this and we've been doing it for a long time. We haven't made a single penny. We don't ask people for nothing. And when we hear somebody tell us that they enjoy what we're doing, that is worth more than fucking money. And we really appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Couldn't agree more.
Wow. Well, the feeling is totally mutual because I get from you joy.
Badass. Well, that's what makes it worth it, man.
Yeah. No, and that's what I love about your show, dude, is like you're just laid back, you're fucking probably taking bong hits. And, I know you are.
He's
definitely taking bong hits.
Well, yeah.
100% there. 100%
And
caller.
I am. I mean, it's like, that's you're my people. Like, I fucking love this.
We love you too, man. So hey,
Man,
Andrew.
So cool. I can't. Believe, like,
Andrew has to go because he's on the East Coast, man.
Okay.
And he's been.
I gotta go. I gotta go. We gotta go soon too. But caller, I'm gonna tell you the most important thing you're gonna hear tonight. Are you ready?
Yes.
You feed a cat twice in a day, it won't hunt.
If I feed a cat twice in a day, it will not
It won't hunt. That is correct.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
That'll give me something to sleep on.
Well, I'm telling you, man. That means if you feed it once, it's gonna go catch rats and mice.
And leave you little presents.
Mm-hmm.
Something in it you're reminded of all the time by my wife. You keep feeding those cats at night, Bruce. They're not.
All right. Well, listen, Andrew, I can't thank you enough. Can we talk tomorrow a little bit?
Definitely. I look forward to doing this again with you sometime.
Yeah, great. Look, hey, you can come back once a month if you like, man.
Oh yeah.
It'd be great. It'd be excellent.
Yeah, Andrew, you were super right on, and like you're opening up my mind to shit I never thought of before. You know, in a way I never thought of before. So it's so cool. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. I've been doing this a long time. If you just check out some of my other material on YouTube, you'll like. I got a lot of mind-opening things there.
Wow, I'm going to for sure because this is nice. I'm so happy.
We're happy too, man.
To hear this.
I know. I'm happy too. And you know what I'm gonna do?
Muchas gracias.
Yeah. Muchas gracias, amigo.
You guys, I got a Jimmy, Epic,
right,
Andrew. I got a bolt.
All right.
Yeah, I got a bolt too. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning for me.
Yeah, we gotta go. But the chat room over here is saying, "Hey, what's up, everybody?" So let's see over there. It looks like Monty's over there. Hey, regular girl.
Good night, Andrew.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Okay. Good night. Thank you.
All right.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Aloha, everybody.
All right. Good night. You going too, Epic? Everybody's gone? I guess it's only me. All right, you guys.
I don't know, man. I might stick around for your chat out.
No, I'm gonna cut out, man. I gotta get something to eat. That's waiting for me sitting there on the stove. But thanks a lot. And call in tomorrow. Steve Coin is gonna be on. Be like a current events kind of thing. But we'll open them up at like midnight California time. So I don't know where you are.
I'm Oceanside.
Oh, that's
California.
right. That's right. That's right, man. You got to remember.
Yeah, dude.
I got short-term memory loss from smoking weed.
Don't get in the water right now, man. There's like 20 great whites hanging offshore.
Oh, man. It's crazy.
Damn, no way.
It's crazy.
Well, that's no joke. Check it out.
It's insane. All right.
Wow.
Let's get out of here.
All right, you guys.
All right.
I got to tell you, I love you guys.
We love you too, bro. Take it easy. All right, Epic.
Right on.
Epic, get in the Ferrari. We're out of here. Put on your seatbelt, dude.